Hello and welcome back to the Winning Agendas coverage of the Sorcery TCG League, Season Number 1, 2023. My name is JC Muehlman-Marshall, and I'm here with a match against Emberleaf, also Rafa, I should say, also known as Emberleaf, from the Sorcery TCG team. This is one of our league matches where I'm playing the Battlemage aggro deck, and Rafa is playing the Avatar of Earth deck. So this is Rafa at this point, I think, only had one loss in the league, and I also only had one loss. So this was a clash at relatively close to the top of the table. And I've started off with a Gothic Tower into a Spectral Stalker right on Rafa's front door. And Rafa started off by playing a Humble Village on turn 1 and making a Foot Soldier. So the Spectral Stalker gets in and kills the Foot Soldier and then is on Rafa's home site there. And then we've got a Phase Assassin on my side of the board, which again is coming in right next to Rafa's Avatar. So a pretty stock standard start for the Battlemage aggro deck, and the kind of start that you like to see if you're in the Battlemage seat. You've got 2 creatures down, one on turn 1, one on turn 2, 2 minions down I should say. And then Rafa has led off with a Common Sense, which is a tutor for an ordinary card. So Rafa searching the deck, deciding which ordinary card they want. And then they won't have any other plays this turn because that's both of their mana used. So they've got 2 sites out, 2 mana, and use them to tutor. So they're looking for something to deal with the 2 minions that are threatening them with 5 damage next turn. So assuming that Rafa doesn't have any other plays, which I would expect since they've got no mana left and no ability to play any more sites, I'm probably going to be hitting for 5, and then the question is, what is Rafa going to have for 3 mana the following turn to deal with my 2 minions? So there's a few options here. One pretty standard Earth answer would be Bury, to just bury one of the minions to remove it. Since neither of my minions have burrowing, they would die if they were buried. Other options include getting something like Lightning Bolt, but that's a bit riskier, given that both of my minions will be on the same site as Rafa's Avatar. Obviously, the Lightning Bolt could hit randomly. So a Boss Control, which I tried to bring up quickly there, but Rafa was too quick at getting it off the table, so I just ended up zooming it on the table. So start of my turn, I have attacked with the Spectral Stalker and the Phase Assassin, getting in for 5 damage, and then teleporting the Battlemage over to the Avatar of Earth site, accidentally combining them, thanks Tabletop Simulator, and then just getting in for another 3. So putting Rafa down to 12. So pretty aggressive turn 3 there. No site placement, which means that we're sort of stuck on 2 mana, unless we tap to play a site at some point in the future. But I've obviously made the calculation, since I had the teleport in hand, that I wanted to just get in and start doing as much damage as possible as early as possible. So Rafa has played the Boss Control, attacked my Phase Assassin with the Avatar of Earth, which is up to 3 power because there are 2 Earth sites nearby, the Windmill and the Village. And then I have drawn a Boneyard. So I've drawn a site there to try and get a 3rd wind threshold for the Browse. Haven't hit a wind threshold, but have hit a Boneyard, which lets us get the Phase Assassin back for free. It actually lets both players bring back a free minion from their graveyard or from their cemetery, but Rafa doesn't have a minion in the cemetery yet. So slowing down a little bit there on the tempo, could have obviously attacked for 3 with the Battlemage, but could have been blocked by the Boss Troll. And now deciding what to do with the Spectral Stalker here. Just leaving the Spectral Stalker up, not attacking because don't want to just give it away for free, and might as well leave it there as a potential blocker, but also a potential attacker next turn. So Rafa deciding where to place this Holy Ground, which is not one I want to see. Holy Ground going to heal Rafa for 3, and then Rafa going to attack my Spectral Stalker, get rid of that. Good use of the Boss Troll, patrolling on the Avatar of Earth side of the board. So all of a sudden the Battlemage looking a little bit stuck out on its own there. I'm going to have to decide what to do with the Phase Assassin, how best to progress it forward from here as well. So a Crown Prince, which is going to return to Rafa's hand upon death if there is another mortal on the battlefield on Rafa's side. So getting in with the Battlemage to kill the Crown Prince whilst it is not active, if you like. Drawing a card for the Battlemage killing a minion. Draw a second Men of Leng. We move the Phase Assassin in, and then we get a Men of Leng down. So that's not a great turn for me. I've taken a damage from fighting, or taken 3 damage rather, from fighting the Crown Prince. I've just got down a Men of Leng and haven't developed my board in terms of playing another site. So it doesn't feel great when we know that Earth, once it gets up to 4 and 5 mana, can power out some pretty big minions, as well as some pretty powerful spells that can deal with multiple minions at once. So at this point, I'm starting to get a bit worried. Now there's a Foot Soldier as well. Even though I've got Rafa down to 12, the difference between them being at 12 and 9 is pretty significant. So that Holy Ground made a really big difference. Just giving that extra little life buffer. So the Foot Soldier here now is going to be able to block the Battlemage if it attacks the Windmill or the Humble Village to the right. But if the Battlemage attacks on the Holy Ground to the left, as we're looking at it, the villager won't be able to block. So I think Rafa's just deciding here whether they want to spend the 1 mana from the village actually making that villager. So just kind of rethinking whether that's worth it, because as I said, there are a lot of plays in most Earth decks that are going to be more impactful at 4 and 5 mana. So Rafa's just deciding whether having another turn at 3 mana is an acceptable trade-off for getting that free villager, or getting that villager, and deciding eventually, nope, scrap the villager. Let's play a 4-drop Pudge Butcher, which is a 5-power immobile minion. Thinking about summoning it on the Windmill, or the site behind, the starting site being the village, deciding eventually to put it on the Windmill, dominating the middle of the board. So the Pudge Butcher can send out the hook in any cardinal direction, north, south, east, west, and hook in a unit, so an avatar or a minion, for 5 damage. So one that we definitely want to clear off the board if possible here. So I've got to make a choice. Haven't got the threshold for the browse yet, but I've drawn a site, and it is an air site. Unfortunately, I had a free city and a boneyard, which kind of color screwed me a little bit in my monocolor deck. You kind of think that you get to play those things for free, but browse is my only triple threshold card. And in this particular situation, you know, I often get up to 4 sites rather than trying to be really aggressive at 2 or 3. And this game where I've teleported in off 2 sites is exactly the one where you kind of don't want to see browse. So feeling a little bit stuck with trying to maintain the tempo whilst also developing the game by getting enough sites out using the Battlemage as tap ability to be able to then play all the cards in our hand, like the browse and the Flaming Sword as well. So always wanting to get up to 4 so we can play things like the Flaming Sword, but finding the window to do that is very important. And as we see here, Rafa having the 4 mana means that we start seeing urgent threats, because the thing you have to watch out with like a Pudge Butcher or on any other 4 cost 5 power minion is that it can be followed up with a grapple shot or potentially like an overpower into a grapple shot, which could be anywhere from 10 to 15 damage or 10 to 14 damage, plus of course the boss troll is there as well, plus the avatar itself. So you start getting up very close to 20 damage if I leave Rafa's board as it is and just cop it. So instead I've gone for the attack with the Battlemage, leaving myself at the 3 mana, and I've drawn into a grapple shot. So here we decide to trade off, I think, the Men of Leng. So we chump attack the Men of Leng into the Pudge Butcher and then grapple it with the Phase Assassin, give it some taste of its own medicine with a hook, coming back the other way. It does cost us 3 mana. But we actually, interestingly, opt to keep the Men of Leng so that we can then attack the avatar and make Rafa discard a random card, which is an interesting play. So grapple shot in the Men of Leng, attack with the Men of Leng on the avatar, And then the Phase Assassin should be dead here, I think. Unless, oh, Pudge Butcher doesn't strike back because it's immobile. That's right. So Pudge Butcher has the special rule immobile, which means that it doesn't strike back. So what I actually could have done there then is attack, and this would have kept my Men of Lang alive, so that's a bit of a misplay. I could have attacked with the Men of Lang into the Pudge Butcher, wouldn't have dealt damage back, attack with the Phase Assassin into the Pudge Butcher, finish it off, and then I could have grappled the Men of Lang into the Avatar, which would have still made Rafa discard a card, but I would have ended up with both my minions still on the field. So actually attacking into the Avatar there was a mistake. I should have done it the other way around. Untapping the Avatar. And then playing another Pudge Butcher. Alright. So they really want that Pudge Butcher, and then they're going aggro with the Avatar and fighting the Phase Assassin, which obviously then deals damage to their Avatar as well. But their Avatar now is a 1 base plus +1 for each adjacent Earth site. That includes the one they're on. So they're actually up to 5 power on the Avatar now, which is pretty strong. So this turn we decide, I think, to tap, play a site. 4 mana is not a great threshold for us to be on this turn, but it's going to be important in future turns when we want to use that Flaming Sword. So we're just kind of setting up a bit here for what we want to do in future. So I guess 4 mana is useful in this sense. So we've got a 3-drop, a 2-drop, a 4-drop, and a 1-drop in hand. So 4 mana does let us play the 1-drop being the Browse, and then the 3-drop being the Hast Eagle, or another 3-drop that we happen to find. So we've got a couple of damage spells there, Chain Lightning, we've got Teleport, we've got a Spire Lich, which is another 3-drop that we could put on the tower. Got a Rolling Boulder, and a Gaia Hippogriffs and a Whirling Blades. So quite a few different options, but no cheap minions. That's okay, because we do have a couple of cheap minions in hand, so we're still going to have another play this turn, and we can choose to either take the Spire Lich, which we can play this turn, onto a tower and give it ranged, or we can take another mobility spell like a Teleport, or the Rolling Boulder to give us some ability to deal damage and squash some larger minions and also the Avatar if Rafa decides to keep grouping things up. So if we take anything other than the Spire Lich, I think it's going to be, so I choose to take Teleport and Teleport away. So that's interesting. So I chose not to play one of my minions. I just chose to get myself out from that back corner and kind of reset the game. So that's just trying to reorder all the cards so I can get them on the bottom of my spellbook. That's a really interesting call. Had lots of options there that were pretty aggressive, that would have worked with the Flaming Sword, would have worked to try and get Rafa down next turn. But I think what I was worried about is I'm only on 14, and so if I stayed on that back site, if I left Rafa with a 5 power Avatar and a 5 power Pudge Butcher, I was basically on death's door if Rafa had a grapple shot, because Rafa could grapple shot the Pudge Butcher or the Avatar into me and then deal another 10 damage with attacks and hooks. So, you know, you have 2 5 power units and all you need to do is get 1 free strike, which grapple shot provides from either of those units, and you're at 15 damage. So I chose to be a little coward and run away with a Teleport just to try and reset the board, because at that point, although I do have 4 sites out, Rafa's definitely got the stronger board position, particularly on their side of the board. And as soon as that Avatar of Earth comes onto my side of the board, it starts to get a little bit weaker as well. So teleporting to that front left side also gets me out of range of the Pudge Butcher. And it means that I can take a bit of time off to reset with my Flaming Sword to get the Flaming Sword down and then potentially go back in and attack for a more profitable attack on the site, particularly if I can also put the Hast Eagle down in the interim. It also lets me take a couple of turns to play some more sites if I wish to. So Rafa goes ahead and plays a Land Surveyor, draws a site, and plays their own site there with a Foot Soldier. And then Pudge Butcher can't do anything. So by getting out diagonal from the Pudge Butcher, we've actually kind of blanked it there, which is nice. So the Pudge Butcher not able to contribute to the fight that turn. So we've got the Gaia Hippogriffs off the top here, which is a creature with charge that's effectively haste, so it can attack on the turn it comes in. But that's not going to be terribly useful here because any of Rafa's sites that we attack, except for the one at the back right of the board, is within range of a hook from the Pudge Butcher, and we definitely don't want to get our 3-power Gaia Hippogriffs hooked and killed straight away. So we opt instead to tap to play a site. It's a free city off to the side. Terrible place for a free city, but there it is nonetheless. We play the Men of Leng and the Hast Eagle, which is threatening a carry across the Men of Leng diagonally, because airborne units can move diagonally, and then strike the Avatar with the Men of Leng, which is an option, or just try and attack in on the Pudge Butcher to finish it off as well is another option. Next turn, given that the Hast Eagle can carry the Men of Leng, which are weaker, along with it when it moves and attacks. And they remain untapped while that movement happens, and then they get to tap and strike on with their own ability afterwards. So Rafa draws for the turn, and my Avatar's there hiding under the Hast Eagle as well on that site. So if Rafa has something that will damage all units on that site, it's going to be a bit of a blowout for me. But at the same time, I managed to play a site last turn and develop my board, and I'm stayed out of range of the Pudge Butcher for now, which is nice. So this is a bit of a worry for me. I see Rafa put down the Atlas Wanderers, which starts to get pretty aggressive because all of a sudden that site moves forward, Pudge Butcher's in line, we get a hook happening, Hast Eagle goes down, Avatar of Earth attacks back here for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, because there are 5 adjacent Earth sites now. And then the Atlas Wanderers and the Land Surveyor stay where they are as blockers. So this is now looking pretty dire. So I'm almost certain with that 5-power Atlas Wanderers, the powerful Avatar, and the Pudge Butcher, I'm almost certain to go to Death's Door next turn. So I know that I absolutely have to try and put Rafa to Death's Door here. So thankfully, there are no blockers for that holy ground there. So because Rafa's moved all the other minions forward with the Atlas Wanderers to get the Pudge Butcher in range, they have left the holy ground undefended, which means that my Men of Leng and my Battlemage can actually get in for 5, and then I can deal 3 damage to the Avatar, which is on a side on its own, with the Lightning Bolt to get Rafa to Death's Door this turn. Alternatively, I can use the Gaia Hippogriffs here as well, which is probably better because it retains the Lightning Bolt for the finishing blow, since it's easier to block the Gaia Hippogriffs than it is the Lightning Bolt if I was to do things the other way around. So that play coming in real handy for me there. The movement of the site with the Atlas Wanderers, getting Rafa into range for some pretty massive strikes and for use of the Pudge Butcher, but also leaving that back door a little bit undefended, which worked really well in my favor there. Getting Rafa down to Death's Door first, obviously a really huge deal. And at this point, I'm feeling reasonably confident, right? Because I've got the Flaming Sword that I can play on my Battlemage, which is on the site next to the Avatar, which means that unless the Avatar moves away, say back to the back of the board, as long as the Avatar stays on that site and my Battlemage stays where it is, my Flaming Sword will be able to hit the Avatar no matter how many blockers Rafa has. So at the moment, Rafa's got the Land Surveyor, the Atlas Wanderers, and the Foot Soldier that can all block, but they won't be able to stop the Flaming Sword from hitting the Avatar because it's effectively got trample, if you like. It hits everything. Well, it's better than trample. It deals its full damage to everything on the site that it strikes a unit on. So I'm feeling like I've got the Flaming Sword to get around blockers. I've got the Lightning Bolt if Rafa leaves the site empty. And then I've potentially got other finishes as well, like Grapple Shot off the top of the deck. I know that I've got Blink, Grapple Shot. So what I really want is for Rafa to stay where they are and not to move me away. And if that's the case, then I should win from here. So this is like one of those key Death's Door dance moments where you're like, for Rafa, I'm the player at Death's Door. I need to stop myself dying next turn whilst also making sure I take Jesse down to Death's Door so that I can kill him the turn after. But thinking through all of that and the possible permutations about what finishes I could have in hand is a lot for Rafa to think through. So then Rafa can remove one of my things with their mana, add to the board, do something else. But if they don't remove something, add to the board, and they make those plays, then I'm going to be able to use my lightning bolt to kill a minion. So instead, Rafa goes with an Earthquake, which is super powerful because it's going to kill both my minions and it's going to get my Battlemage away. So at this point, I'm like, oh no. It's gone from looking really good to very terrible for me. So all I've got in hand is a Flaming Sword and a Lightning Bolt. So my Flaming Sword, not going to be good enough if I'm at Death's Door. I'm too far away. I can't reach the avatar. So Lightning Bolt is my only hope. And in order for Lightning Bolt to win the game, I'm going to need Rafa not to put multiple minions on the same site as the avatar, because Lightning Bolt hits a random unit on a chosen site. So where is Rafa going to get this other 2 damage from? They know that I've got Gaia Hippogriffs in the deck, so they need a blocker. They go with Atlas Wanderers, but they choose to attack me. They think really hard about it. Is it going to be on the same side as the avatar? No, they decide to go in front for the block, and that's to block the grapple shot, to stop grapple shot being lethal. And I draw a Phase Assassin, and I've got the Lightning Bolt. So breathe a sigh of relief that at the very last second, Rafa decided to move the Atlas Wanderers onto that left-hand side, because it freed up the Lightning Bolt for the 100% kill. Otherwise, it would have been a 50-50 roll. So a super close game, lots of interesting moments, heaps of decision points, lots of playing around each other's threats. I hope you enjoyed. This was one of the most enjoyable games I played in the league. Lots of back and forth, lots of fun. And we'll be back very soon. We've just had the top cut of the league announced. I was lucky enough to make the top cut, so I've got a best of 3 match in the top cut coming up, which I'll be playing in the next couple of days, and I'll bring you the recording of that, as well as hopefully some more commentary on some more league matches. So thanks for watching. Hope you've enjoyed our coverage of the Sorcery TCG League so far, and can't wait for the alpha product to be released. It's about a month or 2 away, hopefully, from arriving in our hands. The printing and packing should be finishing at the factory in the next week or 2, and then it's just in the vagaries of the shipping industry. But once we get it in our hands, we'll absolutely have heaps more content, videos. Let us know whether you're looking forward to Sorcery. Have you pre-ordered it? Are you waiting for your alpha product to arrive? And yeah, we look forward to joining you all in the contested realm. Thanks a lot. See you next time.